Welcome to our channel. I am Pam and I will try to take you around the world. Today we have this goal, to visit Venice in one day. St. Mark's Square is the first place that comes to mind when talking about Venice. The large square on which the basilica stands, with its bell tower, are its most famous image. This area, originally used as a vegetable garden, has been transformed into the only piazza that can boast of Venice. All other areas with this characteristic are called campi. In the years of the Serenissima Republic, it hosted fairs, tournaments, and even bull hunting. Today it is an architectural jewel of inestimable value. The Doge's palace has weathered numerous dominations, but has remained standing, to this day, despite several fires, scarring it. It has welcomed all the Doges of the Venetian Republic. Even Napoleon Bonaparte, after conquering the city, made it the center of his administration. The palace is open every day, and welcomes millions of visitors every year. In St. Mark's Square, the very first thing to do is to visit the basilica of the same name. It is an expression of the mix of Roman, Byzantine and Venetian culture. The inhabitants of the Serenissima, proud seafaring people, have over the centuries provided for its embellishment and ornamentation with artifacts from the East. The golden mosaics inside, or the four horses of St. Mark, testify to its opulence. The Grand Canal runs through and divides the historic center of Venice into two parts. It is 3,800 meters long, and is still the main axis for transportation in the city. Traveling along it by vaporetto or, even better, by gondola. From Santa Lucia Station to St. Mark's Square, you can admire the beauty of the noble Venetian palaces. There are more than 350 bridges in Venice, and they serve to connect the different areas to each other, and facilitate movement. The most famous is that of the Sais, whose name comes from the condemned men, who translated to prison, were gripped by the discouragement of leaving such a beautiful city. Halfway along the Grand Canal, we find the world-famous Rialto Bridge, created to make it easier to reach the marketplace. It is always crowded with tourists and vendors, and is one of the most photographed spots in the world. Its present form dates back to the 15th century, designed by Venetian architect Antonio da Ponte. Another bridge, which deserves mention, despite being very recent, and is in modern style, is the Constitution Bridge, designed and built by the great Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava. Not far from the bridge of the same name is the Rialto Fruit and Vegetable Market and Fish Market. A visit to this busy place, already in the early morning hours, will also introduce you to the popular atmosphere of this city. Overlooking the Grand Canal, at the Palazzo Venier dei Leoni, is the Peggy Guggenheim. One of the most important museums in the world, on 20th century European and American art. There we find works by Picasso, Kandinsky, and Magritte, to name a few. One cannot come to Venice and not visit the Murano Glass Museum, and the Burano Lace Museum, world icons of Venetian craft production. Getting lost in the Calle. It will be easy to come across a real Boccaro. It is the typical Venetian osteria, a small bar where you can consume, standing up, tasty samples, accompanied by a good glass of wine, the famous ombretta. Don't miss the crostini di bacala, and the delicious mozzarella in Carrozza. Frari Church. It is a monumental basilica, 100 meters long. Has more than 15 altars, and a collection of works by leading artists such as Titian, whose remains it also houses. Climbing the Scala Contarini del Bovolo is an experience not to be missed. The Scala Contarini del Bovolo is one of those hidden places, but one of rare beauty. The staircase was added to the Contarini Palace in the late 1400s. It was built by Pietro Contarini so that he could ride a horse up to his bedroom on the top floor of the building. This is certainly a legend, but we know that it was designed by architect Giovanni Candi to create access to the palace's loggias. The Accademia Museum has the most important and comprehensive existing collection of Venetian paintings from the 15th to the 18th century. Much of the collection comes from monasteries and churches that were closed and from the clearing of palaces of noble families. Some of the galleries, such as the first, which contains Venetian Gothic painting, have richly carved and gilded ceilings that date from the 15th century. The highlights of the 15th and 16th century paintings are Saint George by Andrea Mantegna, Saint Jerome and Adonor by Piero della Francesca, Madonna and Saints by Giovanni Bellini, Saint John the Baptist and a Magnificent Pieta by Titian, Cain and Abel and the Miracle of Saint Mark by Tintoretto, The Marriage of Saint Catherine and Supper in the House of Levi by Paolo Veronese, and several works by Giambattista Tiepolo. Did you know that you can also go swimming in Venice? A few stops by Vaporetto from Piazza San Marco, you can reach the Lido di Venezia. At the Lido, you can lie in the sun, on a beautiful sandy beach, or dive into the waters of the Adriatic Sea. Thank you for your time, and if you liked our content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any of our videos.